Chapter 61. The Leader of the Centaurs. On! We supremacists couldn't shoot up black churches if we outlawed fucking religion! Then Firenze took us to a fucking field. Why are we in a fucking field? I asked communistically. You are about to meet our leader, explained Firenze evilly. Get off my back. Leader? I asked as we all got off on the ground. Centaurs don't have a fucking leader! We do now, said Firenze in a liberal way. He is a very great man. He has taught us many things. He taught us that all lives matter, even Trotskyists. He sounds like a fascist, said I in a working man's voice of the People's Socialist Proletariat. Then a young balding man came out of the forest, looking at us with an elitist sardonic smile look of the bourgeoisie. He was Professor Quirrell! Chapter 62. Quirrell pretends to understand Harry. An, can you imagine how much better Gone with the Wind would be if they replaced every Confederate flag in the movie with a fucking hammer and sickle flag? What the fuck are you doing here? I yelled in the revolutionary voice of proletarian workers. Hello, Potter, said Quirrell in a sardonically sardonic voice of sardonicism. Long time no see. How the fucking fuck are you still alive? I demanded gloriously for the people. You fucking died when Voldemort's spirit left your fucking body! Yes, that was a long time ago, said Quirrell bourgeoisly. After Voldemort's spirit left me, I was possessed by a new spirit. But enough about me. I notice you're wearing one of those Che Guevara t-shirts. Tell me, are you one of those rebellious teenage idiots who wear this shirt without knowing who it's of? Or are you an actual communist? I'm an actual fucking communist! I shrieked loudly in a loud voice for all the racially oppressed black people in fucking white supremacist Detroit. How amusing, said Quirrell elitistly in his ivory tower. I remember when I was a communist at your age. I grew out of it. No! You turned your back on the people! I screamed gloriously in a glorious voice. You sound just like I did when I was a communist, laughed Quirrell in a lying voice. This is almost making me nostalgic. No, this is different! I explained in a revolutionary socialist way. Quirrell laughed again. You really do sound like I did at your age, he said liberally. No matter, let's move on. I am now possessed by the spirit of a wizard named Les Wright, and have become a rationalist. Chapter 63. The Methods of Irrationality. Ought or not, if you celebrate the 4th of July, you're a fucking fascist Nazi who owns slaves and gasses Jews! Les Wright learned about the methods of rationality from a muggle professor named Michael Varys, explained Quirrell succinctly. Professor Varys was a nice guy who was put in the friend zone by your Aunt Petunia when she accused him of stalking her. It was actually her fault. If she had just been more attractive and confident, she probably would have married him. Women, am I right? No! You fucking sexist misogynist! I screamed in the feminist voice of all the women driven out of gaming by fucking Gamergate! Imagine if your Aunt Petunia did marry Michael Varys, said Quirrell wistfully in a stupid bourgeois way. You would have been very different when you arrived at Hogwarts. I imagine you would have been a charmingly self-righteous child prodigy who plays cruel pranks on your classmates by snapping your fingers, but it'd be okay because you'd be doing it with such a brilliant flair, and that's what really matters. Also, you would only be friends with worthwhile people like Hermione Granger and Draco Malfoy, ignoring the people who have no reason to exist, like Ron Weasley. You may not be friends with bourgeois elitists and ignore the fucking proletariat! I yelled righteously for all the working class proletarians. When you say that people like Ron Weasley have no right to exist, you're saying that poor people have no right to exist! Oh, it's not only the poor people I have a problem with, laughed Quirrell in a voice of intellectual elitism. I also hate the people of the third world. You see, They fail to embrace the bourgeois capitalist values of the Enlightenment, so their cultures are obviously worthless. That's why there's so much child rape in Saudi Arabia and the darkness of the Congo, but it doesn't exist in the West at all. You fucking racist! I explained truthfully. There's no fucking difference between the West and the Third World! I am not a racist, lied Quirrell in a liberal rationalist voice. I know that brown people are not inferior because of their race. Instead, they're inferior because of their culture. Western culture is superior because of the fucking Enlightenment, and brown people will be equal to us when they embrace it. That's why all atheist rationalists need to support Westernization, like Christopher Hitchens did when he supported the Iraq War. The fucking Enlightenment only furthered the interests of the bourgeoisie until Karl Marx fucking fixed it! I explained in a communist voice. Ruined it, you mean? Laughed Quirrell in a sardonically bourgeois way. Chapter 64. Quirrell is a racist. Arnold, vote for John Bartel to end McCarthyism! There are two kinds of people in this world, Mr. Potter, said Quirrell in a racist voice of colonialist imperialism. There are the smart people who matter, and the stupid people who shouldn't exist. The world rightfully belongs to the smart people who matter. It just so happens that most of these people who matter are white males, but that is in no way an indication of me being a white supremacist. Yes, it fucking is! I screamed in the anti-racist voice of Robert Mugabe. I would like for you and your friends here to be among the smart people who matter, Quirrell told us bourgeoisly in the sardonic voice of intellectual elitism. We can only speculate as to what it would have been like if I had been possessed by Les Wright when I taught you in your first year. Just imagine if you had been raised by Michael Varys and I taught you while being possessed by Les Wright. That would have resulted in a flawlessly intelligent story deserving of the Hugo Award. As it is, I have to work with you after your mind has already been polluted by bad ideas. Fortunately, the fact that you abandoned Dumbledore's libertarianism in favor of communism indicates a willingness on your part to change ideologies. I will not change ideology again! I shouted bravely for the progressive proletarian people. Communism is the correct ideology, you conservative Nazi! When you were Dumbledore's wonder boy, you thought his ideology was the correct one, replied Quirrell in a responsively fascist way. You changed your mind before, my young apprentice, and you'll be changing it again now. Chapter 65. The White Savior Complex. Author's note. No! Greece is turning into a German colony! This wouldn't be happening if Gorbachev had stood up to German revanchism! It was at that moment that the rest of the centaurs rode into the field to fucking join us. The one at the front explained that they had finally driven off the spiders. Good work, my apprentices, said Quirrell in a sardonically bourgeois way. My enlightened leadership has greatly improved your inferior culture. Fuck off, you fucking white savior! I yelled in the voice of all the Iraqi brown people killed by that fucking atheist imperialist Christopher Hitchens. I have lifted the centaurs out of their filth and ignorance. Quirrell lied with a chuckle of white supremacism. It's no different than what you attempted to do with the spiders. I told you, said Luna, with her sexual appeal being completely irrelevant to the situation, although said appeal was considerable. I told you that what you were trying to do with the spiders made you no different than people like him. You should have listened to me. No, that was different, I explained communistically. I wasn't trying to lift the spiders out of their filth and ignorance. I was just trying to break them out of their false consciousness, overturn the entire society, and put the workers in charge! Oh, is that all? Laughed Quirrell sardonically in a sardonic voice. I think you're just as much of a white savior as I am. It's not imperialism! It's spreading the fucking revolution! I shrieked, and then I held up my hand in a communist fist. Then, with the fist still in the air, I put up my middle finger at Quirrell while I laughed proletarianly. Chapter 66. More racist lies. R/N. I would kill every lion in Africa if it would make hashtag Black Lives Matter! And now, Mr. Potter, our lesson will begin, said Quirrell in a bourgeois voice of close-minded intellectual elitism. I will also be teaching Luna and Dean to be among the smart people who matter, which proves that I am in no way sexist or racist. No, it doesn't! I yelled in a radically rebellious way. It just proves you want them to assimilate to white patriarchal capitalist culture! The superior values of the Enlightenment are for everyone, Potter, said Quirrell in the voice of centuries of imperialism, colonialism, and slavery. They are universal values passed down to us by great non-racist thinkers like Thomas Jefferson. To teach you about the Enlightenment, I'll rip off Ender's Game and put each of you in charge of an army. That was written by Orson Scott Card, who is a fucking homophobic fascist! I screamed truthfully for the LGBTQIA proletariat. You'll each command an army of centaurs, Quirrell continued liberally. And you'll use all sorts of fun, endearingly quirky strategies to defeat each other. It'll teach you everything you need to know about fucking rationalism. Harry will be in charge of Dragon Legion, Dean will be in charge of Chaos Regiment, and Luna will be in charge of Sunshine Army. That's sexist! Yelled Luna in a feminist voice that was also sexy, although it being feminist was the only part that was actually important. Occasionally I'll throw in some other offbeat lessons. Quirrell laughed in an elitistly capitalist way. For example, I might have the centaurs beat you up to teach you some weird lesson about learning to lose. I learned a lesson like that in a dojo once. How dare you go into a dojo, you white supremacist Nazi! I shrieked in a working class way for the common working man. That's cultural appropriation! Ronan, said Quirrell racistly to one of the centaurs. Give them their fucking wands back. Chapter 67. Dean ruins everything again. Author's Knot. America racistly killed people of color when they fascistly dropped the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Firebombing of Dresden was okay though, because it killed fascists! Ronan, the centaur who took our fucking wands, gave them back to us in an imperialist way. My young apprentices, said Quirrell in a sardonically bourgeois way of capitalist liberalism. We can now begin organizing the awesome battle you'll be fighting against each other. You are trying to divide the working class proletariat of the people! I yelled gloriously in a communist voice. We proletarians will not use our fucking wands against each other. We shall use them against you! Ha ha ha! Not so fast! Laughed Dean in a treacherous voice as he pointed his wand at me and Luna in a fucking Trotskyist betrayal of all the workers! What the fuck? I yelled angrily in a working man's voice. You spoke on my behalf, said Dean in the Trotskyist voice of social fascism. This demonstrated that the revolution was getting too authoritarian, so dissent was necessary to stop the revolution from becoming oppressive. You just sided with capitalism against the people! I yelled rebelliously. I'll protect the revolution from any attack, whether it comes from the left or the right, said Dean as he fascistically betrayed the working comrades of fucking class struggle. Chapter 68. Roped in. On. If you're defending that racist fascist Bernie Sanders from hashtag Black Lives Matter, you're not on the side of the people! Hashtag bow down Bernie. I don't care what that fucking Trotskyist Dean does! I yelled in the voice of workers. I will never play your bourgeois games, Quirrell! You will, my young apprentice, said Quirrell imperialistically. You just need some convincing. Come over here with me, and I'll show you something really amazing. I don't want to see your fucking dick! I yelled in a socialist voice of proletarian communism for the worker man's revolution against capitalist democracy. That's not what I'm going to show you, Mr. Potter, replied Quirrell in a sardonically bourgeois way. I won't move from this spot! I screamed rebelliously for the working class everywhere. You will, said Quirrell, and he sardonically pointed his wand at me. He did a spell and a rope shot out of his wand and tied itself around my waist. No! I yelled communistically as the rope pulled me forwards in an imperialist way, which was exploiting the working class proletariat of working comrades. Luna bravely ran forward to save me comradely, but Dean misogynistically held her back by abusively grabbing her communist shirt with giant king on it. Without any bourgeois hesitation, she wriggled out of her shirt and continued running after me. I was right about her not having a bra on. And now she was running topless with her big bare boobies bouncing around in a sexy way, which I wasn't paying attention to. Before she could get to me, Quirrell cast another rope spell and tied Luna to a tree. Once I was standing right next to Quirrell, the rope went off my waist and back into Quirrell's wand. But the rope on Luna stayed where it was around her midriff. The rope being on her midriff meant that her naked breasts were not covered by the rope and were exposed for everyone to see, which was not important and didn't matter at all. I tried to run away after the rope was off me, but Quirrell elitistly grabbed my working class arm while laughing sardonically. Chapter 69.
Nice.
Trump is a fascist! Ought or not, the only way to defeat Trump is to vote for John Bartel! Quirrell raised his wand and did a liberal spell, which caused everything around us to disappear in an anti-worker way. We were now standing on a circle of grass, surrounded by fucking stars! What the fuck is this? I yelled rebelliously for all the starving workers in Thailand and Denmark. It's called the Milky Way, said Quirrell in a sardonically bourgeois voice. Look into the endless void, Mr. Potter, and contemplate the meaning of it all. It's 42! Now get me the fuck out of here! I shrieked in a revolutionary voice while using freedom of speech for the proletariat. When you're out here, among the stars like this, began Quirrell racistly, the affairs of man seem very insignificant, don't they? Communist, not communist. Such things are of no consequence in the cosmic scheme of things. Yes, they fucking are! I yelled in a voice of anti-racism. Look at the stars, and imagine the possibilities of us working together, said Quirrell succinctly. We could break Bellatrix out of Azkaban for some vaguely defined reason, but it'd be okay because the ingenuity we'd use to pull it off would be so incredibly impressive. Or maybe we could go around hinting that we turned the Pioneer Plague into a Horcrux to show off how much smarter we are than that dumbass Voldemort. Imagine me endorsing fascism in front of the whole school, and then later you apologizing for calling me out on it. But the amazing context would somehow prevent you from being pro-fascist. So, what do you say about becoming a rationalist like me, Mr. Potter? I say, Avada Kedavra! I yelled gloriously, and I fired the anti-capitalist curse at him. The space spell thing ended as Quirrell died sardonically. Chapter 70. Escape from the Centaurs. Author's note. Why can't everyone see that the ISIS Contras were created by America to steal oil from the American puppet government in Iraq? Wake up! I was now back in the fucking field with the stars gone, except for the ones which were there normally. Quirrell's dead body landed sardonically on the ground next to me, and the rope tying Luna to the tree disappeared in a way which would have been very sexy if I'd cared about that. How dare you kill a fucking lady! Yelled Firenze in the reactionary voice of liberalism. We'll fucking kill you now! Let's get the hellish fuck out of here! I screamed for the people in a proletarian voice. We all stared to fucking run, and the centaurs ran after us oppressively in a white supremacist way. Behind me, Luna was running along topless with her jugs bouncing around. But I wasn't titillated by that at all, and only looked back to see it a few dozen times. Hey, you forgot this! Yelled Dean, running after us fascistly while holding Luna's shirt. I fired the Avada Kedavra curse at him several times, but the fucking trot kept dodging it. The curse hit a few of the approaching centaurs instead, which I felt bad about because I didn't think they deserved to die. But what else could I do? Suddenly, a hooded man appeared in front of us, and he fired a big spell that made all the centaurs go away. Then he reached up to pull down his hood, and he, or she since it could have been a woman, was Professor Snape. Good evening, Mr. Potter, said Professor Snape. Hagrid sent me here to find you after you and two other students were accidentally left behind in the forest. By the way, I'm a fucking Catholic.